Roll call.
Chair Thor,
Here.
Vice Chair Grieva,
Here.
Board Member Rodriguez, Board Member Wood,
Here.
Board Member White.
Here. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair, can you please skip D? That shouldn't have been on the agenda.
Pardon me?
Can you please skip item D? It shouldn't have been on the agenda.
Okay. Skip item D,
Yeah, special meetings don't have public comment for items
not on the agenda. Okay. So we'll move to item E, agency business, consideration of approval of professional service agreement with Gus Yates for hydrological groundwater technical expertise and consulting services. Sorry about that.
That's all right, it's quite a
Kind of
mouthful.
tongue-tied. Report.
Well, thank you, I wanted to say thank you to all the board members for making accommodation to get here this afternoon. Recognizing that the city is a little bit dark next week. And I cooked up this day, we got our wires a little crossed, but long story short, we got it scheduled, and I wanted to say thank you for making it here to get us through this one item. What's important is that Gus Yates is retiring as a member of Todd Groundwater, but he's willing to continue to provide services to a few of his favorite clients, and we're one of them. So he asked me if I would put together a professional service agreement just for him. He'll be leaving Todd by the end of the year. So for it to be seamless, I wanted to have this one item for you to consider. So a couple things, you know, basically his services that he's been providing to us for the last 5+ years would continue. And you know, by and large, he does most of the work that Todd does for us. I mean, there's some other things that some of the other hydrogeologists have done, but he's the primary individual. He's a project manager for us. So it makes sense for him to continue. Second of all, as we've already approved a fiscal budget for this year, Gus's costs are already covered. His rate is the same as in the current contract. So it's really just a matter of providing a new administrative contract vehicle for him to continue to provide those services. I think he works well with us. He's been a great technical resource for us and frankly much of the Salinas Valley, and I would recommend that we continue to use him in that way and provide the services that he has. So my recommendation to you is for you to approve the contract and let us execute it, and then we'll move on with him as our technical expert. Be happy to answer any questions.
Let's go to public comment. Any public comments? I see none.
I don't see any, Mr. Chairman.
Board comments, questions?
Yeah, no, I feel this is the right thing to do because it's like anything else. It's like, you know, complicated things like we have an attorney and then you all of a sudden have to change. I'm not picking on attorneys, by the way. Then you have to kind of like re-educate where you're at. And it just makes so much sense to keep Gus, not only because he's done an excellent job for us, I believe he's probably one of the handful of highly respected, I was going to say hydrogeologists, but I didn't want to show you up, Jack.
Yeah, that's all right.
You did fine.
Not very hard to do.
Anyway, yeah, I think he's known throughout not only California but around the United States. So I think we're just lucky to have him.
Any other board questions or comments?
Just got a quick question. So the current agreement with Todd Groundwater is expire at the end of this year, or would they be concurrent? Would we be replacing one with the other?
That's a good question. You know, I hadn't really thought about the termination. There's a termination clause in our current agreement. I can look it over and send them a letter to indicate that as Gus is leaving, that we'll terminate our services with them. I know both of the owners of Todd. I could also just give them a call, but probably a letter for all of us would be best.
Sounds great.
And I'll do that. Thanks. It's a good thought.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want to burn any bridges there just in case we need some of their services in the future, so.
Sure.
That'd be,
I'll call them and ask them, you know, nicely and let them know what we're doing. And we could, to that end, if we wanted some more horsepower, we could just leave the contract in place as another alternative. In fact, as I sit here and think about it, it's probably not a bad idea for the remainder of this fiscal year, and then consider things, see where we're at in June. I don't anticipate we're going to have any additional work for them other than what Gus was doing, especially as we go into this next year. A lot of the work that Todd would be providing would be Gus' participation in both the technical advisory group and reviewing and having input into the GSP update. So it's mostly Gus, but I think it's not a bad idea, as we sit here and talk about it, to just hold that contract in place for the remainder of this fiscal year and evaluate where we're at in June.
So is that contract on a services provided basis, or what?
Yes, it's not on a retainer. It's on strictly a time and materials basis.
Any other questions or comments? We need a motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Next item, receive Arroyo Seco Groundwater Sustainability Agency General Manager Status Report, oral report.
Well, we always hold this item on our agenda for just to be able to have an opportunity to talk about any things that are occurring or have occurred. You know, this time of year, we all get a little, all public agencies start to kind of wind down, especially as we head towards Christmas and the New Year. However, it is worthwhile to note that the Salinas Valley Groundwater Basin, GSA, will hold their first advisory committee with their reconstituted advisory group tomorrow. Recall that I am your representative on that body, and it's a different makeup on the committee than it has been in the past. How it's going to work out, how that body will function, kind of remains to be seen. That the Salinas Valley Basin GSA has also revamped their bylaws, and you know, their mission is really to look into things that are driven by the board. So I say that all to let you know that I will be a strong advocate for here, and you know, I think it's important that we continue to focus on the Arroyo Seco Cone and our management area, and in that group I will participate hopefully in a similar manner that I've participated in this last year. So we'll see. That's item one. Item two, your board directed me to look at developing our own demand management framework. And so Gus and I have had a discussion about that. He's also provided me a draft scope of work, and I will be bringing that scope of work for your consideration in January. What's important to note is that both he and I want to make sure we capture how the technical advisory group that we've seated for the Forebay and the Upper Valley fit into a demand management framework. It's not clear at this point how the Salinas Valley Basin GSA's demand management framework works with the technical advisory group. It's something that I brought up every time I've had an opportunity to do so at the advisory committee and other forums. But I do want you to know that the scope that Gus will develop and I'll bring to you will be somewhat process-driven. That is, we have a pretty good idea how the science of this will work. You know, there's already a group in place. They're already providing us input. We already know that here in the Arroyo Seco Cone, as long as it rains, we're in pretty good shape. But during droughts, there's going to be things we'll have to deal with. But the question is, how do we deal with it? Who decides what kind of recommendations are going to come out of our technical advisory group, and who makes what decisions when? Those are the kinds of questions that we'll want to bring both to the Arroyo Seco Advisory Committee and to you for your consideration. So Gus's scope is primarily aimed at that process piece, so that we have some opportunity to talk about it and discuss it over, you know, I'll say the first quarter, maybe first half of 2026. I'd like to be able to get our framework in place and our demand management kind of horizon set, so that as we go into the update of the GSP, if there is a strong push to do a demand management element for the 4-bay, we'll be in position to offer ours up for our Arroyo Seco Cone management area, and maybe the whole 4-bay. We'll see. Just talking with the Salinas Valley Basin GSA staff, it's not clear to me that they're going to push real hard in completing a demand management program in the updates, but we'll see. Remains to be seen. So that's my report. Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions on either item.
Is there any public comments on the GM's report? I don't see any. Agency board comments or questions? There's no action to be taken. We just
No action
receive
to
and
be taken.
file.
The only action we have is have a Merry Christmas.
Okay? Being no more business, we'll adjourn the meeting.